Hi, I'm applying for refugee status in the US. Sir, you know that refugee status is only open to white Afrikaners. Yes, that is why I'm applying. What is your name, sir? Anton. Trotse Afrikaanse naam. So tell us about the horrors you face in South Africa. Okay, so I just want to give you a trigger warning. But in January, Woolworths was for almost 2 weeks completely out of avocados. Yeah, we were having to eat like guacamole. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. So you are a boer. What farming skills do you bring to the US? So I harvest organic fruit and vegetables at the Oranjezicht market. So I would say I'm more high-end level of farming, not so much in the nuts and bolts and the planting. I'm more the selecting of vegetables, yeah. Do you have any dependents? I don't have any dependents, but I am dependent on Mandisa, my domestic worker. So I've been speaking to her and she and I were saying probably not New York, would like to go to Los Angeles. You sort of look Hispanic. I don't think you're white. Mexican. You know what? And I've got nothing against Mexicans. You know what? Fuck you. I'm staying. Sir, we are not racist.
White South Africans are now given refugee status in the US, and as somebody who comes from a country that has been hosting white South Africans for the past decade now as they're seeking refuge, I just want to tell you, and you can ask Australians and Kiwis about this too, because white South Africans have been moving in massive numbers to Australia and New Zealand, so they know what I'm talking about. When white South Africans move to white majority countries, which the US is, they start thinking that because it's a white majority country, that it's a safe space to say inflammatory things about black South Africans. So just an FYI, get ready for that.
Welcome back to Peace of Mind. Before I even react to this Afrikaans coming to the US, I just want to shout out Ibrahim Toure for treating Africa like it's not a joke. Now, Trump's Afrikaans are set to be coming to the US this evening. Their flight is going to land into the US. And according to NPR, these white Afrikaans are going to be met with greetings from government officials who are going to have toiletries, food. They're going to be having their caseworker ready on standby, ready for them. They're going to be greeted with, if they have family members, loved ones on standby, ready for them. These 49 Afrikaans are coming, and they're going to be placed in a hotel, and they're going to be given stipend, and they're going to be encouraged to try to find work immediately, especially if it's in farming. This news is such a slap in the face. It's such a slap in the face. As I reported earlier this year, one of the first things Trump did was send away refugee flights from South Sudan and Congo. He immediately sent them away as he was closing the border down. He said we were not in a position to accept asylum seekers. And a lot of MAGA supporters were telling me to stop reporting on this stuff as it is not good for our economy. Now, flash forward, you guys are now finally learning that he actually signed an executive order January 7th for asylum seekers to come from South Africa because they reported racism. They reported that South African government are racist towards them and that they needed to seek asylum from their government. And Trump approved this. Trump approved their apartheid mindset. It's such a slap in the face. It's such a slap in the face. And I'm even more just mad at my own African community. Because when I try to have this conversation with them, they come from the point of, oh, it's the law. We have to follow the law. If we follow the law, we'd be good. It's like, it's so tiring. Like, when are we going to be in standby with Black Americans in support of people like Ibrahim Toure to benefit ourselves? Like, our people are literally being treated like not humans on every stand. And we just say, who came here as asylum seeker, who actually got approved into it, we're turning a blind eye to it and thinking that this is a matter of following the law. And we know very much, some of us lived on these refugee camps. We know very much, we try our hardest to be good, to come to the U.S., and we're still struggling while we're in the U.S., but we're the ones who are quick to not support I'm hearing my own community members saying, yeah, I support Trump. I voted for him. He's going to make the government better. My immigrants have to leave. Do you think the immigrants they want is us, people that look like us, people that look like Black Americans who they've been oppressing? Do you think the immigrants they want is us? No. There's a lot of European immigrants who are illegal and there's no problem. We're the ones being profiled. Just like how Black Americans been saying they've been treated poorly for centuries. Let's see other people's reaction, because I can speak on this topic forever. This is what I wrote my dissertation on. It's just so disheartening.
For anyone who has any problems with refugees, I do not want to hear you talk about the South African white refugees and be like, they're coming here legally, it's fine, because their own government even says that they are not vetted. While Donald Trump says that they are completely vetted, that's 100% untrue, according to the South African government. They also said that the people that claim that they are being genocided are actually pro-apartheid, and that's why they're moving to the United States. And they're saying straight up that it is a move for political advantage. The South African government also came out and said that it's really ironic that Trump is allowing the most economically privileged people from around the world to enter the United States while denying the most vulnerable people who are trying to immigrate to the United States. Like, let's be clear here. These people are becoming refugees to the United States specifically because they are upset that people are upset in South Africa that they are pro-apartheid. And yet Donald Trump will not accept any refugees that are actually coming here for detrimental circumstances. Again, it's just racism. That's all it is.
The group of white South African refugees are not refugees. Refugee is defined as someone forced to leave their country to seek refuge, safety in another country due to conflict, persecution, or human rights violations. The Trump administration has granted refugee status to 54 white South Africans, Afrikaners specifically, who are the descendants of mainly Dutch colonizers, settlers, squatters in South Africa. This group of white South Africans have claimed to have faced racial persecution and theft of farmland, although no proof of such happenings has been brought forward. The truth is that this group of white South Africans are the same ones who are angry about the end of apartheid, Jim Crow in South Africa. These are the neo-Nazis, the Klan, the white supremacists of South Africa. They feel that the end of apartheid and the push for equality is injustice to them, much like the far-right groups here in America who mourn the loss of their rights to own slaves with the end of the Civil War and the end of Jim Crow here in America. The Trump administration granting refugee status to white extremists after suspending the refugee admissions programs to all non-white refugees, all non-white asylum-seeking groups, while simultaneously deporting minorities without hearings, feels very much like a move that would have happened in 1930s Germany. Government efforts towards equality is not injustice. Unfortunately, we are under a white nationalist administration who does view any and all progress towards equity as oppression against white people. Now tell us again how it's not about race.
Trump is still on South Africa and he's trying to make South Africa seem like it's the worst country for white people. Remember, Trump said that he's going to give asylum to all the white people in South Africa because according to him, Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, is discriminating the white people in that country and he wants to welcome them in USA if they want. But what's surprising is that more than 8,000 people have applied for this asylum and the first bunch is leaving today. Of 49 people, they are leaving today. But what I don't understand is why would you want to leave your country, a country that is doing so well and you are middle class in that country, to go to a foreign country to be a refugee, a poor refugee? All this started when Ramaphosa took the government land, which was occupied by the whites in South Africa, but he did through the legal way. The white South Africans, they are only 8% and they own almost 50% of land, of private land in South Africa. Well, most of these people, they want to go to US and most of them, they are not really interested. They don't want to go there. They want to stay in their own country.
Sending private planes to pick up 8,000 Caucasian South African refugees when we're kicking people out that are in the middle of their immigration proceedings here in the US now. Literally having people show up for their final steps of their immigration process and having them arrested detained, and deported. It doesn't make any sense to me unless...
To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're gonna have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not gonna have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.